again. Good morning, everyone. It's 10:31. We'll start. Welcome to the Consumer Care Webinar Series of the DTI Consumer Protection Group, hosted by the Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau, or CPAB. This is already our sixth session, and the topic for this session is very interesting. It's consumer protection on internet transaction. So let's start the session with the singing of the national anthem, to be followed by a prayer, to be led by Miss Claire Ann Bautista.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, kaya sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka masisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang pagaw, ay ginatang tulakaw, isang paglayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may matitigil, luman ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to share our knowledge and time with one another in this webinar. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speakers so that they will be able to impart effectively their God-given knowledge to all of us. May they be blessed as they continue to bring their expertise to people around who need them. Bless the participants as well so that they will be able to glean the vital information from this activity. May you bestow your blessings after this seminar so we may go out and spread what we've learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. Amen.
Thank you, Sian. I am Thea Baltazar from the Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau, and I will be your moderator for today's session. So good morning to the 343 participants and counting virtually present here today. I see participants from the Consumer Protection Group, DTI regional offices and provincial offices, from the government sector, private sector, and fellow consumers. Good morning to everyone. So to quickly go over the program, we will have the opening remarks and the topic presentation by Undersecretary Ruth B. Castello. And the rest of the session will be devoted to answering questions from the audience. So today's topic is something we can all relate to. In one way or another, we have transacted online or bought something online and maybe in different platforms. Our speaker is very much in demand. She is the face of DTI Consumer Protection, and we see her every Saturday in DCMM's Consumer at Iba Pa with Mr. Alvin El Chico. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Undersecretary Ruth B. Castello.
Okay, thank you very much, Leah. Thank you for that brief but true. Everyone, online shoppers or maybe online sellers, we all have to live with the new normal. So ito na po yung new normal natin, transacting online. And today's topic is very interesting and very informative. You will learn a lot. And as you go along in your shopping, as you go along in your business, selling online, you will be able to make use of what we will present today. I just need to welcome everyone, all of you from the DTI regional and provincial offices, from the DTI head office, and of course, very specially, our stakeholders, consumers and businesses alike. I see some friends. I see Barry Paulino, and I hope my neighbors are here. I'm not sure if they're here already, but my neighbors from BRB, I understand will be here too. Our officers in the regional and provincial offices, ayan po, very, very well represented ang regional operations group ng DTI. Oh yes, Miss Mosi Kuna is here, my neighbor in BRB, from the BRB brats. Okay, thank you, Diana. I see you here. Okay, so we'll begin. I will share the screen so we can start with the presentation. Okay. Okay. So the Consumer Act is the code. It's actually the Bible of DTI Consumer Protection Group. That's really what we use. It's an old law. It's a 1992 law, but Congress is now working on revising this. And the basic declaration of state policy in this Consumer Act is to protect generally the interest of the consumer, his welfare, and then we also establish standards of conduct for business. Kasi hindi lang po, porky consumer, wala nang pakialam si business, business would always have to be mindful of the way he conducts the business to protect the consumer. And not just the consumer, also himself, because this is one way of earning a reputation or a track record. The Consumer Act, very importantly, also does not distinguish between a brick and mortar store or the physical store that you go to, the retail stores in the malls or independent stores, and online stores. Does not make any distinction between a mall retail store and the marketplace in Facebook. So all the provisions of the Consumer Act apply also to online stores. Excuse me, I will just mute everybody because I get distracted with the noise. How do I do this? Okay. Okay, so to continue, we also have other policies relating to e-commerce. We have the Electronic Commerce Act of 2000, but this is basically managing electronic transactions, electronic signatures, electronic banking. And then so that's why we need to update it. Currently, Congressman Wesley Gatchalian is sponsoring this internet transactions bill that we hope will be a priority legislation in this coming Congress. I think it's the 19th or 20th Congress already that will open in July. In the Electronic Commerce Act, there is going to be a mandatory registry of all online sellers. By mandatory, it means that it does not mean anything related to taxes. Huwag po kayong matakot because this has nothing to do with taxes, and of course fees will be very minimal. You just need to be registered in the DTI business registry, so that we will know where to reach you. If we need you, if we need to improve e-commerce in the Philippines, we will know where to find you. And in case there is a concern by the consumer, we will know how to get in touch with you so that we can settle matters amicably. It's nothing regulatory. We just really need the registry, the address, the contact number, the people involved, even for foreign platforms or for foreign sellers doing or transacting business in the Philippines, engaging in the selling, marketing, distributing of any consumer products will have to be registered. There is also the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act of 2004. This provides for the dispute resolution, instead of going to court, there is a what do you call this, an arbitrator that will help you. We already have that existing in construction, in commercial transactions. So we will do this also online. We are currently developing the Philippine online dispute resolution mechanism that will allow everybody to get their redress online. If the seller is abroad, or if the buyer is here in the Philippines, if the buyer is abroad, basta anything, at any stage that is done in the Philippines will be covered by the online dispute resolution. So cross-border po yan, anywhere in the world, particularly the ASEAN, because this is also being pushed by the ASEAN, of which the Philippines is an important member. The Consumer Protection Group sits as representative of the DTI and the Philippines in the ASEAN Committee on Consumer Protection. So dyan po rin natin natututunan what we relay here in the Philippines, because there are 10 countries. Some of them are developed, some of them are like us, developing. So we learn from each other and we give it to you, whatever we learn from them. There's also the rules and regulations for consumer protection transactions covered by the Consumer Act of the Philippines through electronic means. So that is a memorandum circular, a joint memorandum circular between DTI, DOH, and DOH. Okay. I'm sure everyone is familiar here, and this is going to be interesting for online sellers and online buyers as well. There is an existing BIR Revenue Memorandum Circular 55-2013 requiring all online sellers to have themselves registered with the BIR. For some reason, hindi po lahat nakarehistro, at baka natatakot sila because it's BIR and it's taxes. Pero dun sa Memorandum Circular nila, Revenue Memorandum Circular 60-2020, if you remember, there is already the train law, which took effect in January 2018, exempting those earning 250,000 and below annual income from paying taxes. Meron kayong mga ibang, I would think there would be some other taxes that would be charged to you, like business taxes or other forms of taxes, but for income, definitely exempt yung 250,000 and below. You also have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that this is with or without the BIR Revenue Memorandum Circular, we already have the existing National Internal Revenue Code, the NIRC. So the NIRC requires all businesses to be established or to be registered with the BIR. So whether or not BIR issues the RMCs, kailangan talaga nakarehistro tayo. So let's not take it against them if they remind us that we need to have our businesses registered. The NIRC provides for penalties, hindi lang po siguro masyadong na-impose, but we do not want this to be too regulatory though. Ang gusto lang po natin talaga, we support kasi BIR RMC. Ang gusto natin talaga to have a database or to be able to create or expand the database of all online sellers. But if you want to legitimize your business and formalize it the way you want it, if you want to grow your business, I would suggest that you have yourself registered with a BIR. And you can declare income if it's 250,000 and below annually, you will be exempt. May I request everybody, please to not unmute yourselves unnecessarily. Ako lang po muna para matapos yung presentation and so that everybody here can understand. Baka po kasi na ma-distract yung iba. So ako na lang po muna ang mag-move ng mag-unmute sa inyo. We have existing redress mechanisms under the E-Commerce Act. Ito yung internal complaints handling mechanism. This is being done by the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau of the Department of the Department of Trade and Industry. This is under the Consumer Protection Group, and we later on you will see how many complaints we received during the pandemic. So that is being done by DTI. We have the mediation division and the adjudication division that handle the consumer complaints. So you can also file consumer complaints before the appropriate government agencies like the NTC if it refers to internet speed, telco not providing the service to you, or telco not responding to you. Kung ano pong ibang agencies yan, you can also file the complaint directly with them. Or if it's a cross-border consumer complaint, it can be filed. We have 27 posts around the world for our trade attaches. Meron po tayong, we call them the either, pare-pareho po ng meaning, depende sa ranking nila. They are called trade attaches, commercial counselors, they are special trade representatives. Yan po, yung pare-pareho po silang ng function, but of course depende sa ranking because it is also a diplomatic post. But they handle you can also give them your consumer complaints if it's cross-border. For now, that we still do not have the Philippine Online Dispute Resolution and the ASEAN Online Dispute Resolution mechanisms in place. For complaints handling, we have the DTI 1384. It's one DTI. If you look at it in your keypad, it's 384 is DTI, so you can always call that number. It's our consumer hotline. And for all other concerns, it will lead you, if it's business or if you want to learn something, or if you want to learn about loans, it will connect you to other lines. But if it's a consumer concern, meron din pong sasagot dyan sa atin, dun sa DTI Consumer Hotline. And then we have the email address, consumercare@dti.gov.ph. Anytime po, it will be responded to by our personnel that will handle the complaints. And then, of course, you can also send it by snail mail kung uso pa siya ngayon. Pero pwede naman, some people would also still rather stick a stamp on the envelope. Okay din po yun, we will receive that as well. And then we have the SMS. Currently, we're working with the telcos para yung 1384 natin would also be able to accept text messages. Pero hindi pa po ngayon, so we have the long number for text messages. Like I mentioned earlier, excuse me, complaints go through the process of mediation and or adjudication. I'll just explain it. Mediation, yung amicable siya, you get to settle your complaints. There's going to be a mediator, the DTI mediator that will handle both parties, and then we'll see as much as possible po. We would want complaints to be settled amicably. Kung hindi, the cases, the mediation division will now issue a certificate to file action, and then it will go through the process of adjudication. Ito po yung formal charge na you will have to file the complaint, and then the office, FTEB, will file a formal charge against the respondent. And then it will have to go through a process. It's a hearing, formal hearing siya, but it's very fast, parang two hearing days lang. And then you will be given time to complete all the documentary requirements. And within 20 days upon completion of all the requirements, the case will have to be resolved. Even before the ARTA law, yung Ease of Doing Business Act natin, even before that, the DTI Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau has already been resolving cases within a period of 20 days because that's part of their accomplishment. So wala po kayong fear. Pag kayo ang nag-file, wala kayong fear na masyadong matagal or matatagalan yung resolution ng inyong complaints. I will just give you a brief story, I would say, ng online complaint resolution natin handled by the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. You would see here, from 2016, we only had 522 complaints received involving online transactions. And then over the years, it has expanded. Baka po kasi in 2016, people were not very much aware of the existence of the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau that will handle online consumer complaints, or yung mag-handle na magre-resolve. Probably, we have probably also increased our advocacy, kaya over the years, nag-expand siya. So, as of June 30, 2020, you will see here that we have received a total of 10,826 complaints. Ito pong complaints na to involve only online transactions. Hindi pa kasama yung all other complaints from the physical stores or restaurants or mga hindi, basta hindi siya basta hindi online, hindi po kasama dito. This refers only to all online complaints received. You will see, lumaki siya as of June 30, 10,826. Varying causes, varying cases, iba-iba po siya, and iba-iba din po ang handling natin, depende sa kaso. We have dismissed some, and we have endorsed some to the proper government agencies, and we have the regional offices and provincial offices across the country. So, ini-endorse po namin sa kanila kung yung complaint is, the complainant and the respondent are there in their area, or if it happened there. So sa kanila po yun. And then we also endorse to NTC, like we mentioned earlier, anything telco, NTC, anything medical device or medical products, it's FDA, anything agricultural products, it's DA. But what we do in DTI, because we have a no wrong door policy, we accept all the complaints and we help you process the complaints. We send them to the proper agency, and then we help you follow up. If you need to follow up, and you do not get a response from these agencies, we can help you do that. Meron pong mga ibang kaso na hindi nalalaman ng DTI kung anong nangyari. Either it has been dismissed or resolved, pero for the most part, we get updates also from the agencies that we refer the cases to. Ito po yung elevated or issued the certificate to file action. We had 10 over time from January. The department administrative order was only signed by Secretary Lopez in February this year. Kasi dati po, I will just explain, before the department administrative order, yung complaints ninyo, pagka hindi na-resolve in mediation, diretso siya sa adjudication. Whether or not the parties asked for it or whether or not the parties wanted it, tumutuloy sa adjudication. And we saw that some parties lose interest or probably have resolved among themselves the issues na kailangan na i-file pa po namin sa adjudication division. Kaya nag-devise tayo ng mechanism. There's now a need for the certificate to file action to be issued by the mediation division before the case gets elevated to adjudication. So some cases are archived, nawala na ng gana, siguro either parties, or hindi maibigay ng complainant yung address or contact number ng respondent, or hindi nila talaga mahanap, and then they do not want to surrender their device. Kasi this is one of the importance of online registry, yung online businesses that need to be registered, because pag hindi nyo alam kung sino yung nagbenta sa inyo or hindi nyo na mahanap, you will need to surrender the device that you used so that the PNP and the CIDG can track them. Kaya po kailangan, very important talaga, the registry, so we will know where to find the sellers in case you have any concern. Resolved, and we have pending in process. We have issued 1,299 notices to explain. Ito po yung they have to show cause, bakit hindi sila dapat kasuhan. So explain nila kung anong nangyari, bakit nangyari, whatever happened. You will see here on the slide, from January to March 2020, we only had a total of 985 complaints. So that's 2.5 months, kasi March 15 ng ang reckoning period nito, we only had less than 1,000. But you see, from April to June, we had 9,841 complaints, because in the new normal, e-commerce is life. Yan na yung life natin as buyers, as sellers. online na lahat. So you will see in a span of 2 months, we received almost 10,000 complaints. And then here on the right, you will see complaints involving online transactions before the peak of ECQ impact. It rose by 89.99% from 985 complaints in January to March to 10,000 something until June 30. And then the complaints against Lazada and Shopee, medyo bumaba po siya, 30.81%. It used to be higher, nasa 45% ang complaints against Lazada and Shopee before. But now it's 30.81. Facebook complaints naman in the marketplace have gone up. I will explain why.